Hi guys, it's Mrs. Z here with week 24. Y'all, we did it. So excited for us. Hopefully you are wrapping up the year strong and feel great about everything and you're considering tutoring next year because that would be awesome. But if not, I hope you've had an awesome year. Thank you for being with me these past 24 weeks and we will jump right into geography. So we are going to be in Africa, which we haven't really been in all this year. So we're going to jump down to Southern Africa. And it is going to be in green on our world map. So that's really nice because we've been in with all this pink over here, which was kind of hard to decipher. So we'll be down and we are mostly in all similar color green. So it is a little harder to find, but that's okay. So I will probably start in South Africa. And in the middle of South Africa is Lesotho. I think is how you say that. I'm not great with all these pronunciations, but I try my best, right? That's all we can do. So Lesotho is right in the middle of South Africa. So I will just kind of point that out. And then we will go to Namibia and then Botswana and Mozambique. So that is NBM up at the top. So NBM, we have the N and then the M and the B in the middle. So with South Africa, Lesotho, and then Namibia, Botswana, Mozambique. So I am going to remember that Mozambique is close to Madagascar. So the M's, I don't know why this helps me, but helping me remember like coupling things or remembering what things are close to by the names that are similar are just helpful. And I definitely know where Madagascar is. So remembering that Mozambique is close to Madagascar is going to help me. Namibia is on the other side. It's on the eastern side. And then Botswana is right in the middle. So Botswana kind of makes me think of something being batted back and forth. So it's maybe it's being batted back and forth between Namibia and Mozambique. So anyway, we have south all the way at the bottom, and this is a good time to remind the Cape of Good Hope because we went around the Cape of Good Hope. And we can also talk about the Canary Islands and these other locations that we haven't really touched on too much this year. Well, I say we haven't. Maybe you've been super good about it. I just mean that some of the locations we've been talking about since week one, and I feel like we've reviewed them, specifically the Europe ones, but some of the other ones, like we had them and then we kind of moved off of the world side of the map, so I didn't review them quite as much. So some of these I feel like are not as cemented in my memory. So that's what I mean by ones we haven't had as much. So anyway, for our South Africa section here, we will be, or Southern Africa, we are going to be talking about that in South Africa. We are going to be talking about that in history. So just kind of maybe put that little mark there, put a little flag on that remember this for history because this is where we're going to be talking about in history. So we will just go over those. Probably since our last week, I might bring something like a sucker or something for them. They can use the tip of their sucker to point to all of them, and then they can have their sucker at the end just to do something a little bit fun. You could also use toothpicks, or if you were smarter than me and got the plastic like toothpick swords, you could use those again for one last time. But that's what we'll be doing for our last week of geography. For Latin, we still have the arrow, aris, erit. So again, with this being our last week, I want to take a little more time because we have the President's Song, which is super long. So I probably won't do anything super special for this one because I did the Nerf gun last week. So what I will do for this one is just kind of chant through it really quickly as we are moving our geography stuff out of the way and getting moving kind of more towards math. So when I do that, we just sing it. And oftentimes what we'll do is we sing it normal and we just get quieter and quieter until we've sung it a couple of times. And the very last time, I'm literally making no sound. So we're just like, and it is my favorite 30 seconds of class because they are completely silent while they're mouthing the words with me. So again, start at normal voice, go down to a whisper, go down to even quiet whisper. So that's what I tend to do for that. Remembering our arrow, either you have shot your arrow and in the future it's going to hit the target for a perfect shot, or our arrow, our direction is going towards heaven, and in the future, heaven will be perfect. So either one of those ways that you want to remember arrow, aris, erit for our future perfect tense. For math, we have the identity law, and I might just spend a moment and say our identity is like who we are, what we are, and so the identity. And so the identity law for addition, this is the only one that's different. So all the other ones have been the same for addition and subtraction. We've just, addition and multiplication. We've just changed the sign, but this one is different. So make sure to remind them out. So A plus 0 equals A, and A times 1 equals A for multiplication. So just help them remember that, especially if they're memory masters, that this one is going to be different. So don't forget that. And that just means that if I have myself one time, I still just have myself. If I have myself and I take nothing away from it, I'm still just myself if I'm a number, obviously. So that's our identity law. To do this one, we just have A's. We don't have any other like letters like we have, so I probably won't do the stand up, sit down thing. I probably will just jump on the letter A to give us some movement in class. I like to give my class some movement every once in a while. So every time we say A, we'll jump. And that way we'll get a few jumps pretty good in there with identity law. For English, do I want to go to English next? Yes. We have an interjection. So what I will do is I will write, have cards, and I will number them 1 through 8. So we have 8 students. I will pass them out randomly and have them write their favorite thing to like yell when they get excited or when they get mad. Obviously, no inappropriate words, but just their favorite interjection. They all know what an interjection is. So have them write that on there. And then the first time we say through interjection, number 1 will get to yell their interjection at the end. Second time, number 2 will get to yell their interjection. We can hear everybody's interjection. Hopefully I can get through that quickly. With having 8 students in class, we have to move pretty quickly through some of these, but I want to give them all a chance to do it, and hopefully I'll have everybody there the last week. So that's what I will do. For record, my favorite interjection is flibberty gibbet. I really like that one. I also like persnickety. I don't know why. Those 2 words kind of sound similar to me, and persnickety isn't really an interjection. It's just a really great adjective, but sometimes I just like to be like a persnickety. So, and flibberty gibbet. For science, we have the units measured to measure electricity. So ohms are going to measure resistance. So we're going to be like we're trying to not be pushed. So we're going to resist ohms. So ohms measure resistance. And then we have volts measure voltage. And then we have amps measure current, and we're going to go like this for current, do our wavy arms for the current. And then watts measure power. Got power. So we have ohms measure resistance, and then we have volts measure voltage, and then we have amps measure current, and watts measure power. So that's what we'll be doing for science. Then for history, we've got South Africa, which we just talked about in geography. And it has like a lot of drums and stuff in it. So probably what I will do is bring in my solo cups. I'll probably still have them in my thing from the past few weeks in my wagon, because I tend to not unpack everything every week. But have those in there, and I will let them use a couple of pencils and play drums on top of a solo cup. Just because there is a lot of good, I might bring some of my shakers in too. There's a lot of really good percussion sounds in this history song. So if I can gather up some of my little kid instruments, I might just bring different ones and let them play with those while we listen to the history song. There's also some really good, like picture ones, that is making sense. Picture papers. They have ones that you can color in. I've done one of those earlier this year. And then they also have ones that just have like different word pictures. So not exactly like a picture of Nelson Mandela, but a word to help us remember Nelson Mandela. It's kind of broken down. So those are really great for the younger classes. And I don't know, with it being the last week, it might be a great week to bring something that's a little more calm. Just let them listen to the song, and color. They might be a little too hyped up for that. I don't know. You will know your class better than I do, so you can kind of decide what you think will work best for that. I intend to let them do some percussion because we're talking about orchestra this week, so let them be percussion. So that's what I'll be doing for history. And then we have timeline, which really isn't timeline. It is the presidents. So I have the president's cards. I believe they come with, the third like section of cards. I feel like they do. I don't think you buy this separately. And you should have, everyone should have gotten like a replacement card that has Biden on it. So hopefully you have that. These, I like to lay these out and just point through them as we're doing this song. It's a lot of names to remember. Unless your kids have been working on it all year, it's just a lot to get through. In this last class, so like, don't be discouraged. Just sing it through a few times. You're probably not going to get through it 7 times in the allotted time because it's a long song. Another way to do it is I, again, found these cards on the Target dollar spot. I'm missing Trump and Biden. But I can kind of do them like flashcards. So Washington, Adams, Jefferson, Madison, and Monroe. And you can go through them like that. It might be a little bit easier than trying to do them this way. But if you have these cards, you could also separate them into sections, mix them up, and have your students put their section in order and then sing through the whole thing a couple of times. So that's another way to do the presidents. Again, it's just a lot to go through all at one time, and it's a lot of names. So, don't be discouraged if your kids can't do it all. There's also some printable ones that have all the presidents on one sheet of paper. And so maybe for your younger non-readers, maybe you just want to take it and have them go through and hop a little Lego figure from one to the other one as you sing through them. That might be a really easy way to do it, or they just point with your finger. You could also get one of those big pointer fingers and lay these cards out on the table and use them to point to where you are. But yeah, you just kind of have to get through it because it's a lot of names. So anyway, I think that's everything. I always feel like I have more to go over, but it's not really, I don't have anything else, I think. So anyway, hope you guys have had an awesome year. Seriously, thank you so much for all of your kind comments on the videos, on the Facebook group. If you've met me in person, thank you for coming up and saying hi to me. I love meeting you guys. Super fun. I get really embarrassed. So I hope I'm not too awkward if you say hi. But I appreciate you all so much. Thank you for being out there and teaching your kids how to know God and to make him known. I will see you back next year, Lord willing. Bye.